Okay, so now before we start our today's topic, okay, so how we are going to conduct our sessions is we'll first ask you for any doubts, okay, doubts with respect to our previous class. That like if you have any questions with respect to whatever was covered in the previous class, you can ask those questions. Once those are complete, then we will move on to our current day's topic. Okay, and then again we'll try to wrap up our session at least 5 minutes before the scheduled end time, so that again at the end or towards the end you can again ask questions. Now in between I'll be taking pauses again, so you can ask questions during that time as well. Okay, that's what the entire conduct how we are going to conduct the training program. Now we also request you guys to be regular, at least in terms of at least for as many times as possible. Come to the classes, attend them regularly, or do the assignments or revise the topics on a regular basis. If you miss for a couple of days, what happens is things start to pile up, and when things start to pile up, that is the time when you become a little lazy. That I have 5 sessions to cover, 6 sessions to revise. Oh, there's so much of training. So then you keep missing more trainings. Okay. So you all are putting in valuable times. You all are putting in your efforts. Okay. So let's utilize them to their maximum potential. And that will be for every day's session. You don't have to find 2 hour, 3 hour time. For every day's session, just find half an hour to revise those concepts. Okay. To revise what we covered through. So that if you are finding doubts or if you are stuck at any one point, then you can ask those questions. Okay. So now let's start again. So yesterday we looked at some of the key terminologies, and what we said is during our training program we will try to stick to these terms. Now, does any one of you have any question with respect to these commonly used terms? Okay, I'll take the silence as no questions. So what we will do is we'll get started with our today's topic. Now, what is our today's topic? So since there could be few people who may not be exactly from IT industry, so what we will do is we will understand about different types of IT companies. Okay, or you can say instead of companies, you can also call it out as industries. Now within IT sector, what probably happens is we have two types of companies, and when I'm saying IT companies or industries, I'm basically talking about the organizations or companies that deals in making softwares. Okay, I'm not, so there could be certain organizations that specialize in hardware, laptop manufacturing, desktop, all that we are not going to restrict our focus on. Okay, so we are mainly interested in building something for the on the software side. Okay, now what are the different types of these companies? Now you would have heard of plenty of names. Okay, so you would have heard of TCS, Infosys, some of the big shot MNCs, Accenture, CTS, or more popularly known as Cognizant Technology Solutions. So there are plenty of companies. Then there are some mid-size companies, for example, L&T, Infotech, ITC Infotech, okay, Mindtree, Happiest Minds. These are some of the mid-size companies. Then there could be some small-size companies and startup companies. There are like thousands of companies in India registered as IT company. Now, irrespective of how many companies are there, broadly we have two type of classifications. Okay, one is called product based company, and the second one is called as service based company. Now both sides have their own advantages, disadvantages, way of functioning. Okay, so what we will do is we'll discuss about these two sectors so that you get an unfair bit of understanding on how these IT industry is structured and what to expect from which type of companies. Okay, now remember we are trying to learn about some of the general concepts. When it comes to individual organizations, those organizations may deviate from the standards, okay, and may try to customize things or do things of their own. So whatever we cannot cover organization by organization. Okay, so we are trying to cover the industry in general. Most of the things you may still find in the organizations, but there will definitely be exceptions or deviations as well. Okay, because there is no fixed way of operating in organizations that you have to operate in this way only. Okay? Everyone, depending on their way of work, they will try to do things slightly differently only. Okay, so now the first one, that is a product based company. So what is a product based company basically? So what happens is a product based company, it builds a product. Okay, so what is this product? This product is nothing but a software. Okay, so they may identify a problem. So that problem identification could be like, suppose I have found a problem in a way of doing things. So like few years back, that is late 90s, after 95, 96, when internet became popular, what happened is one of the things that came along with internet was viruses. Okay, so people realized that when internet could be used for making websites, for promoting your businesses, for doing things online, maybe we can use that opportunity to make some money as well without having to worry about setting up a business, promoting it, asking people to work on it. So let's do one thing, let's make some viruses. And that time the trend was to make lot of email IDs. So let's make viruses and send these viruses to a bunch of email IDs. When people will open their attachment sent on the email ID, that what that virus will do is it will send it to more people. Okay, now these viruses could have different functioning. So with internet, there were benefits, and then some people utilized it for sending viruses. Now companies like McAfee, okay, Avast, so McAfee, Avast, and you will have plenty of other companies that utilize this opportunity to build antiviruses. Okay, and if you have an antivirus installed in your system, probably it will detect for the presence of virus and will try to quarantine it. Okay, so what basically antiviruses will do is detect for presence of virus. If found, then quarantine it. Okay, so now this McAfee Avast, what they did is they built a product. Okay, and what was their product basically? Their product was an antivirus. Okay, what that antivirus did, scan the system, look for viruses, look for programs that seems doubtful, and then probably quarantine them. So in product based company, what happens is you identify a problem, and in order to solve that problem you build a product. Okay. Now, once you have built a product, you obviously want people to use it. There is no point in me building a product and keeping it with myself. Okay. How am I going to make money? How am I going to survive if I have involved 10 people in building a product, and if I'm not able to pay them salaries, probably how will I be able to retain employees? So the next thing is, how am I going to market the product or advertise for the product? This product is nothing but, in case of McAfee Avast, this is the antivirus. Okay. So how am I going to market or promote the product? Once the marketing or advertisement seems pretty good, successful, or I'll have my sales and marketing team. So I'll use different channels to market. I can use Google Ad Service. I can advertise on TV channels. I can advertise on YouTube videos, whatever possible ways. Or I can hire some of the good sales and marketing team who can actually go out and convince people to use our product. Okay, so marketing could be done in different ways. Now, once you market the product, once you find the audience, what that audience will do is they will pay to get license, okay, so that they can use the product. Okay. Now, this is generally what happens in a product based company. Now, when we look at service based company, okay, what we will do is we will have a comparison point by point. Now, in service based company, I don't look for a problem. Okay. I don't try to build a product on my own. What I try to do is we try to identify clients who have a problem. Okay. Maybe take for example Harsha Trainings. Maybe they are providing trainings, and maybe Harsha Trainings is looking to, for a moment, let's assume that they don't have a website. So maybe Harsha Trainings is looking to build a website. So it's not exactly a problem. When I say problem, problem could also be like your goal and objective or an issue as well. So Harsha Trainings is looking to build a website, and I being the service based IT company, I have the necessary expertise. I have a team of BA developers whom I can ask to work with Harsha Trainings to get requirements and then build a website for them. Okay. So in product based company, you identify a problem or a goal or objective. Here you identify clients who have problem or who wants to achieve something. Okay. But they don't have the necessary expertise to do that. So I am basically identifying them. Once I identify them, then basically I have to convince them or tell them that why I am the appropriate person to do their work. Now once client seems convinced, maybe we can sign an SOW, like how we discussed yesterday, and start the work. So when I say start the work, that means you start with planning and all, like requirement gathering, development, design, and all those things. Okay. So talk to clients, convince them. We will cover this part tomorrow again in detail with respect to pre-project activities. So we will cover tomorrow what happens before this work even comes to us. A lot, we may not be involved directly, but as a business analyst, it is always good to know what steps are involved before we get the project, so that we have that holistic picture. Okay. Eventually, like we discussed, during our demo classes, at some point in time you have to transition from a BA role to a product owner role. Okay, everyone wants career growth, everybody wants salary growth. So when you have to transition to product owner, a lot of your effort will be gone in pre-project activities. Once those are converted into a project, maybe then you have BA developers working on it. Okay, so tomorrow we will go through what happens in pre-project activities, and then before we start the BA related part on what BA does, we will go through the SDLC cycle, that is software development life cycle. So that will cover for this start the work part. Okay, but for now, for understanding, assume that I have identified a client, I have convinced them, signed an SOW, and now I'm good to start the work. Okay. Now, a lot of these companies that I named over here, TCS, Infosys, Accenture, Cognizant, they're predominantly, I won't say they are 100%, but they're predominantly a service-based company because they work on client basis. Okay. Now, they do have a small section that tries to build products which can be sold to clients, but then that's a smaller portion of their business. That's why they're predominantly a service based company. Okay, now the next part. Okay, so first you identified a product and all that. Now the next thing is, in a product based company, in a product based area or company, the company that is building the product. Okay? So the company that built the product actually owns the product. Okay, here the client owns the product. Okay, even though in service based company I am the one who is doing requirements, who is writing the code and whatever may be, but because client is paying the money, so that is why client owns the product. Okay, I have no ownership on the software, I am just building it for the client. But in a product based company, the ownership of the product lies with the company that is building it. So I built the product, I own it, and I am just giving you a license to use it. That does not mean you are the owner. That does not mean I will share the code with you. That does not mean that you can go ahead and make modifications or enhancements on top of it, because I am the owner of the product. So if you have any suggestions, feedbacks, you share it with me. I'll make the changes. Okay. So that is where our next point comes in, that how do changes are made in this particular product based company. So all the clients that are using the product, let's say all people using the product, they can share feedback, okay, about what they like, what they really like about the product and what can be improved, things like that. They can share feedback. So that will be one source of input for a product based company to think about how to enhance the product. Okay, second thing could be market trends. Okay, about what's happening in the market recently. So maybe earlier we started with antiviruses because that's what people were infecting someone's laptop, desktop. But nowadays viruses have become more sophisticated. Now people want control over safe browsing as well. I want to know if I'm visiting a website, whether that website is safe enough to be visited or not. So now you see these antiviruses have transformed. So now they do identity protection. Okay, now they do safe browsing. They help with safe browsing as well. So over time, you identify what is happening with in the market. what people are expecting. Plus, you try to predict the trend. So, one thing is things are happening simultaneously and you try to keep yourself in line with it. Second thing is you try to predict the future and then accordingly build the product. Okay, like I said, nowadays, because there are a lot of people and lot of things are happening online itself, so you want basically identity protection, maybe you want safe browsing, because there are a lot of e-commerce platforms coming in. I don't want to go to a fake platform and then share my credit card or debit card or net banking details over there so that they can then scam me. I don't want to do that. So maybe I want an antivirus that can help detect these things, that this is not a safe website to do. Okay, so now these products over time have evolved. How can they evolve? Either people can share feedback, the company itself can look for trends, market trends. These trends could be current trends, or they can try to predict what may happen in the future as well. Now, when it comes to service based company, how do I make changes? So, one is client. Okay. Now, because client is the only, because my software could be used by only one client, so they may tell, they will tell to me how do changes should be done. Okay, they are the only point or the only input point which will tell me what changes to be done. Even though I can find 100 defects in the client software, I cannot go and change anything on my own. I have no right in a service based company to make modifications on my own, even if I find lot of issues with the product. The thing is, one is you have to have the input from the client. Okay, so client will tell what changes to be made. Okay, even if suppose I identify some issues with the system, or I'm seeing that, for payments currently we are doing only through credit cards. I find an opportunity that, hey, lot of I was reading some of the articles and I see that 50% of transactions are now going through UPI. So why don't we add the UPI option in our online payments category? Okay, maybe I am fully convinced, but can I go ahead and implement it? Absolutely no. I have to go and tell it to client that, hey, we are seeing new market trends like UPI being used extensively. Why don't we add UPI as well? You give the proposal to client. If client really likes your proposal, they will approve it and then you can start working. Okay. So eventually you see everything is coming via client only. Even if I want some changes, I cannot do it. Why I can't make any of these changes? Remember, we don't own the product or we don't own the software here. Client owns the software. That is why everything has to be approved by them. Either client themselves will tell us what needs to be done, or maybe if we come across a market trend, or we identify a potential improvement opportunity, then also we have to give a proposal to client. The client has to agree and approve that proposal, and then only we can start working. Okay, so there will not be any changes, anything that we will be doing on our own. Now, before we move on to our next point, that is what could be expected of a business analyst in these type of organizations, I just want to take a pause here, see if there are any questions. Hey guys, I'll take the silence as no questions. Uh, you don't necessarily have to ask questions on the same day, okay? But like I said, keep revising the concepts on a day-to-day basis. If you keep revising, you will definitely get some questions, okay? So what's the meaning of SOW? So SOW stands for Statement of Work. Okay, that we covered in our yesterday's class. The very first term that we looked at was SOW or Statement of Work, which is an agreement between the client and the IT company on what type of work needs to be done, for how long this SOW will be valid. SOW you can consider as something similar to your rent agreement with landlord, which will say between what parties this agreement is being signed, for how much duration, what will be the terms and conditions for your stay. Okay, so that is the SOW. So before we start any work, we need to officially come to an agreement. That agreement can be used to hold each other legally accountable, so that if anyone is not doing the work as outlined in the agreement, then you can legally take action against them. So Nagarjun is asking, what are the different type of contracts in software industry? What exactly like are you looking for there, Nagarjun? Contracts? Contracts as in type of projects, okay. So that we will cover tomorrow when we go through the pre-project activities, that what are the different types of projects. Yes, yes. Resource based, time and money, that we will cover tomorrow. Okay, so any other questions? Sure. So we'll go ahead with her next next point. So before we actually get into BA, I already gave you few examples. If you look at, if I have to share more examples with you, so if you look at Facebook, Google, okay, they are like big examples of a product based company. The reason why I'm giving these examples is because we all, in one way or the other, have used their products. So if you see, you people like you and I, we don't tell Google or Facebook what features to put in. We don't tell them like what next feature should be there. They build a product, they roll out the updates, and we start using them. Okay. Also, if we suppose, if we have to share anything, then maybe we just have to give them, we can share a feedback with them. And then again, it's up to Facebook and Google whether they want to incorporate those feedback or not. Unless it is not a problem or a issue, if it is more of an enhancement kind of thing, they may not. Okay. If it is more of an issue, they will surely make the changes. Now, on service based company side, TCS, Infosys, Accenture, all these are examples of the service based company that work on client side. Okay, so that means they try to identify the clients, build a relationship, good relationship between with the client, and then try to build a product for them. This is an example. let's look at the last one. That is, what can we expect a BA to do in a product-based company versus in a service-based company. Okay. Now, remember, guys, this is whatever we are going to discuss is not an exhaustive list. We have a dedicated session after SDLC, after we talk about SDLC, to discuss in detail about every single responsibility that you may possibly undertake as a BA. Okay. So for now, we are keeping our discussions related to responsibilities to understand the difference. Potentially, what could be the difference? Remember, the same skill set could be used, but the expectation could be slightly different here. Now, in a product-based company, a BA can majorly be working on two sides. Okay. So a product-based company, how they usually structure is they have a core development team. They have a core development team. This core development team is responsible for making changes to the product. Okay. This team is responsible for making changes to the product. So if you identify some current trend, or if you're trying to predict future trends, or client is sharing feedback and you want to work accordingly, or maybe you just identified better way of doing things, whatever that may be, it has to go to core development team, because that is what is responsible for making changes to the product. Okay. And then we have another client handling team, and they can be known with different other names as well, but their primary function is that they're responsible for interacting with client. Okay. So maybe, like I said, if I take example of antiviruses, nowadays antiviruses offer lot of feature. Like I said, antivirus, anti-spam. Maybe we were discussing about identity protection, safe browsing. Okay, so nowadays there are lot of features being plugged into these antivirus softwares. Now, when I am trying to convince a client, okay, when I'm advertising for my product, if you look at the way the product is designed, nowadays people have divided, or good companies, at least good product based companies, have divided their features into individual products. So if someone comes to me and tells, hey, I want only antivirus, I don't want identity protection, I don't want safe browsing option, I don't want anti-spam, I will take care of these things on my own, you just give me antivirus. So what happens is, now this client facing team or client handling team, they will work with the client to understand what their requirements are, and then how can we customize the software for them. Okay. Maybe they don't want customization. Maybe if I'm offering 10 features, they just want one feature. So I can give them that one feature. Maybe they want only two features out of 10. I can give them two features. Maybe they want two features, but they want to change the logo, they want to change the look and feel of the display area. So maybe I can do some smaller customizations for them. Okay. As long as you are not asking to change. If I have to give you an example of customization from a, like from a day-to-day life, so you look at your house. Okay. You built the structure of the house once. Now every time what happens is, you will not break your house and reconstruct. Customization means, today let's say I have coated white paint on my house. Tomorrow I come like, no, no, I don't like this white paint. Can we change it to maybe a light yellow color? Can we change it to maybe, a combination of blue, red, white color? Okay, so you are doing these changes or what can be done without disturbing the structure as such. Okay, now maybe I can change the interior part, that maybe I can change the location of the table, chair, the bed and all that. Okay, but I'm not disturbing the entire structure of the building. So as long as I'm not disturbing the core software, okay, or the core product, that is okay. So customizations will mostly be around, maybe client don't want all features, they want few features, plus they may ask to change the look and feel of those features. Okay, they may, like within view, let's say I have zoom option, status bar and word wrap. Client may say that I don't want zoom option. If in view, can you remove this zoom option? It is so confusing for me. That's an customization, that within, for an existing structural software, if you want to remove changes. Now if client comes and tells me, hey, can you add a new option, which is called print option here? Okay, so suppose if this print option is not there, and they say that can you add a print option here? Now for something that is not even there, if I have to make changes, that will require changes in my core software. Okay, so probably you may not be able to do those things unless you talk to your core development team, that we are getting requests from different clients about having a print option in the software. So add that print option, and once you add it and deploy the software, then we will update the clients as well. Okay, so you could either go to core development team that will be responsible for identifying, for going through people's feedback, identifying current market trends or predicting future market trends, and then accordingly make the software changes. You may work in the client handling team as well, where you will be primarily responsible for interacting with the clients or the customers, understand what they require. According to their requirement, you make the customizations in the software. Okay, in order to do the second type of job or first type, remember, as a business analyst, you must have very good knowledge of the product. Okay, it should not happen that client is talking to you about what they need in the product and you are not even having any clue about it. For whatever requirements client have, we should have good understanding. That way we can tell them what is possible, what is not possible. Okay, now on the service based company side, obviously we don't have two different teams like this. So what we do is we interact a lot with the client, or you can call them as stakeholder as well. We interact with them a lot because they are our only input to what changes are needed in the software. Okay, so whatever interactions we have them, and because there are plenty of interactions, so when you work in service based company, one of the things that should normally come to you is communication skills. Okay, so because we have to talk to our clients, I'm not saying that you should, have wonderful vocabulary. You should always try to find complicated words and then use them in your day-to-day life. If you can do that, that is okay. But that is not mandatory. What is really needed is your ability to interact with someone, talk to people confidently, and your ability to express yourselves. Okay, suppose if I am talking, using some complicated words and people are not, my audience is not able to understand me, then what's the point of having such good vocabulary if your audience can't understand you? Okay. So have good communication skills, because you need to have lot of meetings with client to understand what they need, to document what they want, and then to have these review calls with them to go over whether you have accurately documented whatever their requirement is or not. Okay. Now once we have worked with stakeholders, they will tell us what kind of work to do, and then we will build the software accordingly as per their requirement. Whether we are building the software as per their requirement or not, we have to go through a demo call or a review call. Okay. So interact to get requirements. These requirements will help build software, okay, and then review or give a demo to the client on what type of software you have built. Okay. Because unless they see and they approve, there's no point in building a software. Okay. Even the work starts with client, the work ends with client only. Okay. In between, the when I say start and ends, it starts with their approval that go ahead and do this work. It ends with their approval that yes, I'm okay with whatever you guys are doing. Okay. So that's on the expectations side. Now I hope you guys are able to follow along, understand some of the basic things. Okay. So I'll take the silence as you guys are with me, able to understand things. Now the first week, like we discussed during our demo series as well, will be about building the basics of IT industry. Okay, so that everyone is able to get on the same page. Then next week onwards, we start talking about more specific topics like what roles and responsibilities BA does. What do we mean by a requirement? What are the different types of requirements are there? Then how do we start with step by step processes in requirement gathering like stakeholder, then risk management, and then with requirement gathering as such. Okay. So I'll stop here for today. Okay, it's not a big topic as such. And tomorrow we will start with pre-project activities. Okay. So what that pre-project activities basically we are going to cover is that what happens before you get a work from the client. Okay. What kind of activities are involved in getting the work, and Nagarjun, that is where we will discuss on different type of contracts as well, because pre-project activities lead to signing of SOW, or you can call them as contracts as well. Okay. So that is where it is decided what type of work we will be doing for the client as such. So we will discuss that tomorrow, and then with whatever knowledge we have gained about type of companies, about pre-project activities, then we will discuss IT team structure, IT team structure and project sizes. Okay, and why do we care about these things? Okay, so when we go through these things, they should form our basics of IT industry, what to expect, what not to expect, and then we will talk about the skills part. Okay, that what all skills do I need in myself to be working as a business analyst. Okay, once we are done with these basic concepts, then we will gradually move on to more advanced concepts related to BA. Okay, and updates in the BA community trends. So, Nagarjun, all the things that you have mentioned, like for example, tips for building a good product or understanding before interacting with clients. So, we will be going through all these gradually, like what happens in our stakeholder meetings. How do you understand people, or how do you handle different people? Okay, now once we go through these topics, you prepare your own notes so that you can have your notes with you forever and work on it. Now, all these will be covered, including the terminology that is used in SDLC. Okay, so you don't have to look anywhere outside on what terms to use, how to use. Now, on the last part that you have, BA community trends, there I will ask you that you have plenty of resources online. Okay, am I part of any BA community? No. Why? Because I have a lot of people around myself itself. Okay, so when you start working as business analyst or a product owner, you will realize one thing, that you have a lot of people in your organization, in your friends, in your office space itself, that have similar interests like yours. So for me, they form the core part. If I have any questions, if I want to have any trends, maybe I'll talk to them, and not worry about browsing through online features. But still, you have plenty of groups available on LinkedIn. You have other coffee mug, that's another website that is coming similar to LinkedIn. So you can look through those groups. You can find similar groups on Facebook as well, and you can join them. But how useful will it be? Personally speaking, you can, if you don't know anything, probably they'll be useful. But once you have a fair bit of idea, you want to interact with people to understand things better. Okay, so maybe follow along. Okay, talk to people in your offices as well. That will be more beneficial than relying on an online community. Okay, I'm not against online community, I'm not saying you should not join them, but what I'm saying is your primary information should come from people around you. If you are not able to get information from people around you, then your secondary information source could be these online communities. Okay, you will find plenty of them on LinkedIn, you will find plenty of them on Coffee Mug, you'll find a number of websites or blogs as well. Okay, now one such person that I diligently follow is Roman Pitchler, because I am working as a product owner now, and so for me the most important thing is how do I build the product. Okay, so I attend his sessions as well, and I follow him on LinkedIn, Roman Pitchler, to actually learn about the recent trends in the space. But that is more to get an indication on what trends are happening. My primary source of information still is with my people around me. Okay, the learning and development team that is in my organization. Okay, any other questions, guys? How do I get previous class notes? Okay, so we are working on forming a Google Classroom that is different from the demo series, and all the notes once that Google Classroom is formed. So our point of contact with whom you have been interacting for enrolling yourself or getting access to Google Classroom demo series. So that point of contact or person will actually once will inform you once the Google Classroom is set up. So once that is set up, I'll upload all these notes over here. Okay. Okay. Any other question, guys? Okay, I'll take the silence as no questions. Thank you everyone for your time. We'll meet tomorrow at the same time again. Thank you.